everybody. It's Dayna Martin, community producer for Anarchapulco. So nice to see you all again. I'm here with my friend Jake McCauley. And Jake, I'm so excited that he's here this year because I've known him for a couple of years. I met him at, the second Anarchapulco or the third? I can't remember.
Anarchapulco 2017. I think that was the third.
Okay, the third one. Yeah, we have kind of a funny story how we met, I think. You want to share?
Yeah, so I was on the way to Anarchapulco, and I had a layover at JFK Airport up in New York. I live in Baltimore, but was stopping at JFK to hop on the flight to Mexico City, and then from Mexico City to Acapulco. And I saw Dayna was there with her daughter, Tiffany, and I believe Tiffany had a friend with her. I thought you looked vaguely familiar. I couldn't place you, but you saw I had an anarchist hat on, and anarchy symbol on a baseball cap, kind of a trucker cap type thing.
Yep.
And you walked up and asked if I was going to Anarchapulco, because we were getting on the same flight to Mexico. It's the anarchist hat on. And so, yeah, I was. And I asked you about who converted who, because I saw that you were going there and so was your daughter. And so I was curious, I know I converted my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured usually when you have a family of multiple, one person caught on to the stuff and put the others on. So you told me that you were kind of just both already anarchists.
Yes.
And that they had never been to school. And I had never heard that before. I'd heard of homeschooling and stuff, but that's not what you said. You said a couple of other things that were anarchist related. And I was just blown away. I'd never seen this dynamic before. It was alien to me. So we fly to Mexico, and then I think it was the next day or the day after that you spoke. And I just happened to be sitting, in front of the stage where the speakers are. And I see you, this woman from the airplane goes up on the stage.
I forgot to mention to you that I was a speaker there. That's kind of funny. I usually don't. I just...
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Bring those things up. I just meet people.
So yeah, I'm just sitting there like, okay, learn something new. And then you start speaking, and I'm just listening, and I was blown away. I had never heard anything like this. It was a speech that was largely oriented around how, at least the part that really stood out to me towards the beginning, was validating how, as children, we feel very oppressed, we feel very controlled, and that this is not how it should be. It's not right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that we were right, that I was right. And so kind of from that moment on, and then seeing the clips that you had, there was kind of this little compilation of clips, whether it was videos that you've taken with your family kind of showing how things work. I had never, until I saw that speech, I had not thought I wanted to be a parent. I didn't know this was an option. I had always associated parenting with this authoritarian, coercive paradigm where it's a struggle and it's conflict, and you've got a big adult who is, using force and threats to try to control a small child. And I've always thought of that as something I wanted no part of. Even when I was a kid, I wanted no part of it. Well, especially when I was a kid.
Yeah, Jake, I just have to say, this is really emotional for me because this is something really unique to the anarchist community. So I've been a speaker and I've been doing what I've been doing for almost 20 years. But prior to the last, I'd say 6 or 7 years, before the anarchist community where I was a primary speaker at, I had no idea there was so many people that didn't want kids, so many men. So this is primarily, it seems like, with men. So when I stepped into the anarchist community, I started speaking at these events. I started speaking and sharing, and I've had so many people, actually both men and women, come up to me and say that they've decided to have children after hearing, or at least considered it after hearing this option, which is so beautiful to me. And so you are someone very special to me in that way, because you've had a baby. You've had a baby since that time. How has that been? Like,
I never thought I would.
We were connected during that time. Like when she was pregnant, it was also exciting and so many changes for you.
I can say definitively, your influence is why we have this baby.
Wow.
The option, had I never gone to Anarchapulco, had I never been exposed to your material and your message, it may have never occurred to me that there was this whole other world of option to how you can raise a kid.
That's pretty amazing. Wow, I'm so happy for you. So do you like being well, obviously you love being a dad. It seems like the pictures I see and just the way you celebrate your child, I mean, it's beautiful. I love it. So is it different than you thought it would be?
He's less fussy than I thought babies would be.
Yeah, they really are when you parent this way. That's the whole weird thing is when, oh my gosh, when people are parenting by listening to authorities and they're putting their babies on schedules and they're letting them cry it out and they're putting them, through the authoritarian dynamic from the beginning, babies don't like it. They cry. But when you hold babies when they want to be held and meet their needs, it is a lot easier than traditional parenting.
He's definitely a lot chiller than most babies.
Yeah.
I think. Also, and there could be a connection here. It could, maybe not, but he is way ahead as far as like hitting his milestones and stuff. He was imitating me, even sometimes clearly enunciating like the word good. He was clearly saying the word good at like 2 months old.
Wow.
Which is, that's crazy. Like holding his own bottle and adjusting for gravity.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to just watch him, just through his own exploration, just learn the world.
That's so great. I was reading, and I've experienced this myself over the last 20 years, 2 decades I've had kids. My goodness, I can't even believe it that it's been that long. But when you meet the needs of a baby or toddler or child, when they have dependent needs, and you don't put them on some schedule or somebody else's idea or standards of what they should be doing, and you just respect what they want, you're receptive to their cries, you hold them when they want to be held, then they become more independent earlier because you're meeting their dependent needs. So babies are designed to be dependent. And when you don't force independence too early, it's pretty amazing how much more ahead a lot of babies are, a lot of toddlers are, because you're respectful to their needs and you're not forcing them to do things that they don't want to do. So force and control, even at birth, is so damaging. So this isn't just about, a lot of anarchists think of it, force and control and so forth being something that we don't want from government. This is something you don't want from birth. And when you raise a child with never having that, it's amazing how much they can accomplish, how happy they are, how fulfilled they are, how much more intact the family is. There's so many layers of benefits to doing it this way. So interestingly enough, I didn't really know we'd be talking about this to this extent on this interview. I'm really glad we are. But I put out an article today that I think is being published tonight or tomorrow morning, and it's called Unchaining Your Childhood. So it's about childhood trauma, and it's a pretty long article for email blast, but I really wanted to put it out there to help people understand how important the family camp is, how important it is to talk about birth and child raising, because this is the future. So our kids, Jake, will not have all the issues that we do. They're going to be the ones that heal this world. So I'm so glad you had a baby. The world needs your son.
I know, breaking the cycle in a lot of ways, like you did. The benefits you just mentioned, part of how I knew right away that what you were espousing works. One of the first things I noticed about the time I met you, like at the airport, is I saw Tiffany, and she was like playing and talking with her friend, but she had this vibe about her of just an incredibly free spirit, like conspicuously. That's not something you often, or at least not something I often notice when I'm just out in the world, at an airport or whatever. Wow, that's a free spirit. But that thought, it hit me like a train, like, there is something different in this family. And I couldn't, obviously at the time I didn't know what it was. But I don't even know how to explain how I observed this. She just clearly she wasn't concerned with the rest of the airport's perception of her, it seemed. She was very much just happy, I guess, just content with being alive in a way that I don't really see so much.
Yeah. My kids are luckily a lot more present than most people. I think when you don't train a child to constantly be preparing, like if you train a child to constantly be preparing for the future, like they do in school, and just traditional parenting in general, what are you going to do when you grow up? And all these questions, they're living in the future, then they really lose how to be present, just like we did. Look at all the self-help books, all the yoga classes, all the trends that are out there that are helping us as adults, because we're kind of broken from being raised that way. But we need to get back to that state of living in the now that our kids, when they're never conditioned, they never lose that. So a natural state of being is like our kids are, like you're going to see your son is. And they won't have to just work to get back there like we do. So I know what you're talking about, and I see it in my kids all the time. In fact, I go out, my girls now, so Ivy, my two daughters, Ivy and Tiffany, are 14 and 17. And they love being with me. That's another thing that's really amazing, is they really are my closest friends, and they want to be with me all the time. And it's mind-blowing. I never wanted to be with my parents or the adults when I was a teen. No way. We would hide from them. We'd run from them unless they were adults that were buying us beer. We did not want to spend time with them because this dynamic is so rare. So my girls will actually be like, Mom, let's go get a coffee. Let's go to Starbucks. Let's hang out. Let's spend time together. They'll call me up in their rooms. They'll kind of argue over whose room I'm going to sit in. We'll compromise and say, everybody, let's go in Tiffany's room. And I was thinking about it today, just about an hour ago, on the way home from taking them out and going grocery shopping, how grateful I was that my daughters love me and want to be with me. Now, that's very, very different than, it's beautiful. I love it. And my sons too. My sons, before I came over here, Orion, when are you going to come back, Mom? Let's play a game together and do this. And that is interesting because, there's so much cultural stigma around that kind of thing. People will say, I'm your parent, I'm not your friend. And it's not, I think what happened is, like, back in our generation and the generations before, parents that would try to kind of be cool because they were broken and they had their own issues from not being accepted, and they'd let kids party in the house, and it was just a different dynamic. It was kind of neglectful and permissive and not very connected, where this is very, very different. I'm my children's friend in the same way that I'm your friend or other people's friend, because I care about them. And we look out for each other's welfare and everything else a friend is, but I'm also a parent. So it's not an either or thing. You can be both and powerfully be both. And so that's something I really want people to understand. So this year at Anarchapulco, the family camp is really expanded. So we're really going to talk about this and how to help people understand. And I think that what you're experiencing already is going to be so valuable for parents. I think you're going to inspire a lot of people. So I don't know, when are you speaking? So you're speaking the advocacy stage. The schedule's not out yet, so we can't tell anyone when you're speaking yet. But dude, did you have any idea from that moment we met in your first Anarchapulco that you would be speaking at Anarchapulco?
No, I didn't.
I love it. I'm so grateful. So many people love you, Jake. And you deal with a lot of crap on your wall. I'll tell you, on your Facebook wall, you kind of are bringing this message to so many people that have never heard about it. Like, your wall is intense, and you hold it gracefully, and you hold the space, and you stand strong in your beliefs. And it's don't think that none of us notice, because we all do. We do. We notice. Those of you that you're connected with notice your strength. Part of something that's really important for me personally is helping inspire other people who are attendees possibly to become advocates later and speak and really raise each other to be not only huge. So are you excited? Are you nervous? What are your thoughts this first speaking gig?
I guess, yeah, a little of both, what you'd expect. Mainly excited. I know that when I'm at Anarchapulco and similar events, I'm among friends.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There's kind of an unspoken joy to being, unlike usual, completely surrounded by hundreds of people that don't want to enslave you, that don't think that, their preferences and their ideals should be violently forced onto you. And I'm not saying that to disparage 99% of the population. They don't know better. Because they were not parented without that authoritarian paradigm. That's something I'm going to be speaking about a little bit in my speech, is that it starts at home. The reason, a big part of the reason we have this monster Leviathan state, and for the last few thousand years, we've just been having constant wars and atrocities, genocide, and all that terrible stuff. It largely comes from, we have this authoritarian paradigm drilled into our head from the time we're this big. And like you were saying, people that grow up without that are kind of devoid of those shackles that almost everybody has that can be broken. But, as we both know, it takes quite a bit to break them later in life. It's a lot more effective to just not create them in the first place, not create that mindset of a subordinate. Mm-hmm. So I know that every person who can be inspired to get out and spread messages is valuable. As far as, imagine if it were 50 years ago, and you had just spoken to a man about maybe some of your ideas about, parenting and the school system and whatnot 50 years ago, or 60 years. I actually don't know the timeline right. And then you see that guy on on something that was published or whatever, and that's John Taylor Gatto. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't actually know his story personally, like what inspired him to become the activist he became. But everybody you talk to could wind up doing similar. Do you know what I mean? Everybody you talk to can create those ripples, and then those people they talk to create those ripples. It gets to the point that it's starting to be everywhere. These ideas regarding peaceful parenting, regarding liberty, regarding anarchism in general, like anarchism especially, I see just on the streets now. And I don't mean anarchism like, Antifa or whatnot, throwing bricks through windows. I see fellow anarcho-capitalists just walking around on the street, coming up and complimenting me on my T-shirts. I like to wear my opinions on my T-shirts. Yeah,
good. I was saying, and I think that is really happening. I think by the time we have grandchildren, great-grandchildren, it's going to be so much more widespread. And I think it's so important for me, for Anarchapulco. We have the wonderful celebritarian speakers. We have the speakers that are like rock stars that people can't wait to meet and get photos with and listen to, and they're so inspiring. But for me, it's important to not only celebrate them and bring them in to inspire people, but to bring in people who have potential. I love seeing potential in people and encouraging them to speak their truth, because I really, really feel like it's important to the future. It's important for so many reasons. And so I love that we have that wide range of people just starting out and people who are rock stars, and we bring everybody together and we're one big community. When we're together, we're one big community.
What's so crazy is how diverse that community is. I mean, you've been to Have you been to every Anarchapulco?
Yeah, I've spoken at every one.
Oh, wow. So then you've seen quite a bit. It is all walks of life. I mean, it is everything from, like burnout hippies to corporate businessmen to cowboys to what, like everything.
Yeah. No, that's really grown. And that's the interesting thing is that's what's really fun to watch grow every year, because the first year I went, I think there was like a little over 100 people. It was mostly men. It was the first time anybody had spoken about unschooling at an event like this. And so it was really profound. The audience was really receptive. There was a lot of really cool people. I guess there was a little bit of a diversity, but that's grown every year. And I love that. I love seeing more and more different walks of life, people coming, because people leave Anarchapulco and that's all they do is talk about it to everybody. It doesn't even matter. It's so life-changing that they talk to everybody about it. Yeah, and all these different, we have all these different communities kind of coming together. We have the health and wellness, which is kind of the more new agey, hippie, yoga, awareness about consciousness community, which is so essential to the movement. We have like the metalhead anarchist community. There's a lot of like people coming from that area. We have the anarcho-capitalists, we have entrepreneurs, we have computer geeks. I mean, we have the crypto guys that come and the crypto girls. I mean, we have so many different ways that the vegan movement has now moved into anarchy too. And so there is a lot of diversity, like you said, and this year it's going to be especially so. Like, it's going to be amazing to see it.
And, through that diversity, we branch out into just all areas of the world and of the cultural narrative.
Yep.
It's through this diversity, you now have in like you were saying, the health and wellness area and the yoga communities and whatnot, liberty gets introduced to that community, and then to the vegan community, and then to crypto community.
Yeah. I mean, even like
it's a way for the philosophy of.
Yeah, we're bringing in so many different communities, and not only introducing them to anarchy, but we're introducing anarchy to them. So the animal liberation movement is so in alignment with anarchy. And so there's a lot of people, what is it called? There's a name for, I forget what it is. I'll have to think of it and post it on this, on the description of this video. But there is a name for the combination of veganism and anarchy. And so that's happening. These morphing of different philosophies are kind of coming together, and a lot is.
And it all revolves around voluntarism in general. I mean, because that's kind of a foundational principle that can be applied to all areas of life, is that interaction should be voluntary.
Exactly.
Is that you don't attack people.
And I think it's interesting too, because I also appreciate, not only do I appreciate the diversity of the community, but I appreciate that we all don't agree on it all, and we don't need to. It's like, I know Larkin Rose, for example, the philosophy, some aspects of the philosophy of veganism, or some vegans, he's debated on his wall. And I'm a vegan, but I still love to see him questioning things. I love to see people always questioning, always thinking, always driving us to learn more and to accept more and to be able to see other people's views. And I think that's part of what peace is. We're not all at Anarchapulco with the same exact views at all. We are so diverse as a people. We have different beliefs, different branches of our beliefs that we really hold strongly onto. And I think that's a really, really important thing to model for the world, that we accept each other in all of our different vast beliefs. We have an overall message, of course, and we have a manifesto now, the Anarchapulco Manifesto, and that's basically all of the things that we pretty much philosophically agree with as a community, which I think is really wonderful to have those basic morals and values, but we definitely don't agree on everything. And I love that. So we have debates. I love Anarchapulco for its debates. Definitely open your mind when you come. I swear you're going to learn so much. So Jake, we are going to end the discussion here. I could talk to you all night though. Thank you so much for being on.
Sure. Happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
Do you have anything else you want to say before we end?
Just that I'm really looking forward to Anarchapulco this year. I know it's going to be epic.
Would you like to offer anyone any information of how to get a hold of you? Do you want them to follow you on Facebook? What are your handles?
Sure, you can. Easiest way to reach me is, or at least that that I like to give out publicly, is you can reach me on Facebook. Just Jake McCauley is my name. I'm on there quite a bit, as you will see. I like to debate quite a bit. Like you were saying, even within our own community, we have those debates all the time. One of the topics that you and I focus on quite a bit is the peaceful parenting and liberation of children. Is probably one of the most contentious debates within the liberty movement. Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually, in a lot of ways, that's a good thing, because it gets it talked about more. It gets our ideas refined and spread more.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. I think that's a wonderful, because I love seeing, I can't always sound in on the debates because I'm very busy and I run a group on Facebook, and I do a lot of other things. Obviously, I have 4 children. So there's times where I want to jump in and help you out, but I know you've got it, man. You've got this philosophy down, and you always know how to answer, and you do such a great job. So I'm really, really grateful that you're part of our community. And I'm so happy you're a speaker this year on the advocacy stage. And I'm just glad that you're who you are. So thank you so much for being part of our community. And if people want to get to know you more, they can find you on Facebook. If anyone else is interested in hearing you speak, I mean, after speaking at Anarchapulco, it opens up a whole world for most people. So speaking at Anarchapulco is a real honor. It truly is. I don't think people realize it until they're there, and then they see the results of speaking at Anarchapulco, how many more opportunities open up for them. So I have a feeling this is just the beginning for you, Jake McCauley. So thanks. I really think so. So thank you so much for being on, and we look forward to seeing you in just 4 weeks. Can you believe it? 4 weeks? I know, I got to get ready.
Got 4 weeks to finish my speech.
Oh, you've got plenty of time. You're going to do great. Half the time when you just wing it and you just speak from your heart, you know everything you're going to share already. That's the whole thing as a speaker. I just want to encourage you is everybody at Anarchapulco, well, almost everybody, I can't guarantee everybody, but most everybody wants you to succeed. They want you to do well. They've all got your back. Every single person that's listening to you in the audience is rooting for you. And so you're going to do amazing because you know all of this, and people just want to hear from your heart what your passion is, and you will inspire people just in your presence. So anything you say is going to be extra. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you in just 4 weeks. Anarchapulco. Peace, love, anarchy.
Ideas about not wanting to use violence against people and not wanting to steal and extort them.
And they try to tell us that the liberty movement is dead. That's a bunch of baloney. It's alive and well.
All freedom is our natural and eternal right.
And shout this message about what real liberty and freedom mean, but for everybody.
And I think that we should start a revolution here today.
Peace, love, and anarchy.